Hey, how's it going, YouTube? How y'all doing today? I am about 2 minutes ago, while I was dumping the grain out for these animals into their feed trough, I realized something. I really only got about 2.5 months left with these animals now. It's about it's just past the. Well, maybe I have about 2 months, 3 weeks left with these animals now. I don't have over 3 months to get these animals ready for market now, and so yep. Time is moving fast, and so I have just over two. I have about 2 months, 3 weeks before these animals need to go to market. Realistically, I don't think I'll be able to feed them Sudan grass, and so I'm going to need to bale that Sudan grass more than likely. It's still too cold for that Sudan grass to germinate. The weather forecast is saying we're going to get about 1.5 inches of rain this week, and so it'll probably start germinating. But by the time that Sudan grass is ready to go, these animals will need to be heading to market. And so, yep, I'm going to feed these animals more. That's what I decided on this morning. I still have a credit line that's open with I took a look at my overall credit yesterday, to see how much credit I have open, and I have something like $16,000 left open in credit lines. So it's a lot of money. I have more than enough money to feed these animals right now, even if I bought everything on straight credit. And so I'm going to buy. I need to put as much weight as I can on these animals. If you watch them eat, they've been on this diet for a little while, this grain diet, and they're struggling to eat any more food. They're eating very slowly, like they're trying to pack down more food, but they're getting full. And so I don't know how much more these animals will voluntarily eat before they quit eating, but I'm gonna need to give them more food. I'm gonna give them more food so that I can get the tax deductions on them. But these animals, but I don't have 3 months left with these animals. If I'm going to take them to market in the middle of July, I have under 3 months left for these animals. With these animals, yeah, I mean, I started noticing this a couple days ago, that in the evening they would eat like this, where they're not just slamming the food down, and they're just they're eating very slowly, like they're just kind of nibbling at their feed. And so they're starting to get too full. At a certain point they'll just quit eating, right? But these animals, at this point in time, they're already slowing down how much they're eating. And so I need to get them to eat as much food as they can. I'm gonna just give them the option to eat as much as they can. But I also don't want them eating just straight grain, because that could mess up their digestive system. So I still do want them eating forage. I want them going around eating grass. But yep. I'm gonna have to see. I got less than 3 months now before these animals need to go to market, and I still have a lot of money left in credit lines, and I still I still need to start. I need to start investing capital pretty heavily, or I'm going to end up with a huge tax bill by next year. And so I added something to my to buy list. And so one piece of equipment that I'm looking to buy right now is a cultivator with a roller on it. And so a cultivator and a sweep plow are two different things. A sweep plow is generally going to be a heavier duty. It's going to be built more for breaking ground, while a cultivator is going to be more built for working already broken ground. And so I want to get a cultivator with a roller on it, a finishing cultivator, because if I get a finishing cultivator, well, that'll be I guess what I do to get the ground ready for planting, to get the ground flat for planting. And so I added something to my to buy list. I'm looking for something. It's either going to be a cultivator with a roller on it, or it's going to be a harrow of some sort, a harrow that has some kind of a roller or drag on it. And so but if I bought something like that, I mean, it's gonna cost me. I'm guessing anywhere it's gonna. I would anticipate that it's gonna cost me anywhere from $2,500 to about $4,500, $5,000. And so that's on my something to buy to buy with cash list, because any equipment that I'm gonna buy it with cash. Anything that if I am able to make money on it directly, I am going to leverage for it. Like cattle, I am willing to leverage for, but equipment, I am going to buy it with cash. Because if I buy equipment, the only way for me to make money on it directly is if I sold it. And if I sold it, I may have to sell it for a loss. So I ain't going to leverage for any equipment. I'm going to leverage for cattle, because if I have cattle and I have leverage on them, and I need to make money on the cattle, I can take them to market and liquidate them immediately. Cattle are also a dynamic asset. If I increase their weight, there's a high probability that I make money on them. And so I can appreciate them by increasing their weight while I hold on to them too. While with a piece of equipment, there ain't much that I can do to appreciate a piece of used equipment. The only way that I can really add value to a piece of equipment is if I use it, is if I run the equipment to do something like grow hay, and then I'm indirectly making income from that equipment. And so the only thing that I'm willing to leverage for are assets that directly make me an income. Yeah, these cattle, they having difficulty eating. They're starting to get a bit too full, but I mean that's a good thing. As of right now, that's a good thing. I don't even have 3 months left with these cattle now at this point before they need to go to market. And even if I spend an extra $1,000, let's say I spend an extra $1,000, I spend an extra $500 over these next $500 a month over these next few months to put extra weight on these cattle. If I ain't gonna feed them the Sudan grass, and I just bale the Sudan grass and sell it, I'll make a couple $1,000s on that Sudan grass. And that Sudan grass up front, it cost me about like $350 to seed the whole thing and to fertilize it. And so if I make, let's say I put $500 into it, if I make $2,000 on it, that's a net profit of $1,500. And so I ain't worried about the cost of cattle feed. That's one of the big things that I always say, that I don't worry about the cost of the cattle feed, because if I put the cattle feed in these animals, well, to a certain point, right? To a certain point, like I'm not gonna go and just feed them like a ridiculous like, to a certain point, I ain't worried about the cost of the cattle feed. As long if they have good grass growing on the if they have good grass growing in that they're walking around on and that they're chewing on, the grass hardly costs me anything. And so as long as I'm growing cattle feed, as long as I have something here that I'm growing to feed these animals with, and then if I supplement that feed, the cattle feed is the least of my worries. Absolute least of my worries. I don't even consider it. If I feel like it's time to feed the animals more, I just feed them more. It just don't matter to me, because cattle feed, if I feed them the cattle feed, right, I'm gonna make a return on it because they put on weight. So I mean, if I was in a super bearish cattle market, that may be different. But even in a bearish cattle market, if the price of cattle are just generally falling, if I'm putting weight on the animals, you know, overall it's still gonna anything practically is better than me paying taxes. Okay, practically anything in my mindset, practically anything is better than me having to pay taxes. And so I would rather take a 10% loss. Let's say I invested too much into my cattle. I invested so much money into my cattle that I lost like a 10% of my investment. Let's say I had $100,000 invested and I lost 10% of my investment. I lost 10 grand. Well, if I didn't invest that 100 grand, I would have had to pay like $25,000 in taxes. And so I still net a positive, right? I still net like well, I would have had to pay like $20,000 in taxes. And so if I didn't invest the 100 grand, I would have lost 20 grand anyway. And so even if things go horribly wrong and the cattle price drops out the sky, I put way too much money into their feed and I lose 10% of my money, it's still better than me paying taxes. And so, like, I really could care less about the cost of the cattle feed. The cost of the cattle feed is like the most minimal thing that I worry about. And so I'm actually going to see if I can put some more food in front of these animals when this video is over. But oh well, I ain't gonna do that. I want them walking around and eating some grass. I still want them putting some forage in their gut, because I don't just want to be feeding them a whole bunch of grain. If I get to the point where if I up their grain anymore, they're going to be getting about 1.5 to 2% of their body weight, about 1.75% of their body weight a day in grain right now. And so they're going to be getting a tremendous amount of animal feed. And so I don't want them consuming like almost all of their diet in grain, because that can mess up their gut. That can mess up like their digestive system. And so I don't want them doing that. So I still want them eating grass, but I don't even have 3 months left with these animals now. And so in about 2.75 months, if I can put 125 pounds on each animal, I'd call that a job well done. And so, yep. Yeah, but but we've just had such a cold little bit of a cold front just keep coming through, and it's the end of April. It's practically it's like the third week of April, and it's like 45 degrees here right now. And so it's very, very, very just kind of the weather's too cool for summer crops to grow in. And so I'm gonna have to kind of change up my game plan. I'm just changing up my game plan. That's all I'm doing. So instead of I'm gonna feed them more grain with the anticipation that when the Sudan grass does grow in, the only thing I'll be able to do with it is sell it. Oh well, I mean, if the hay prices are high, I'll sell it. But if the hay prices are low, I'll keep it and I'll feed it to the next batch of cattle. But I can put it into storage. I won't be feeding these animals that Sudan grass, and it don't really matter to me. I have credit lines still open that I can tap into to purchase these animals' feed, and if I really felt like I had an opportunity to do so, I could go to I could buy $16,000 worth of feed right now for just straight on credit line. And so if I really felt like doing it, I could. But well, if I bought $16,000 worth of feed, I wouldn't be able to make a positive return on it. It would take so long for me to feed that to these animals. It just wouldn't be worth it. And so, and I don't want to be holding these animals until October, because if when the good weather kind of passes through, the price of cattle tend to drop a little bit, seasonality. And so, yep, I need these animals. I don't know how much more that they're gonna willingly eat at this point. They eat very slowly, and so but I need them. I'm looking to put more weight on these animals without messing up their intestinal system. And so yep, I'm just changing up my plan a little bit. It don't look like I'm going to be giving them much Sudan grass, if any at all. So I'm gonna have to. I'm gonna increase their grain feed. But yep, I was realizing that this morning at about when I was dumping the grain out for them. I was like, man, I don't even have 3 months left with these animals. And so if over these next 2.75 months I'm able to put 125 pounds on each animal, I'll call that a job well done, and I'll just take them to the market. 125, actually that's very low. If I can put 175 pounds on these animals, I'll consider that a job well done. 175 pounds is the name of the game right now. And so I'm gonna just keep trying to put more food in front of them and see how much they will willingly eat. But all right, that's it for me today, YouTube. Y'all have a good one.